I have just come out of a deep, dark depression, and I wanted to talk about it. Usually my channel is laughter and silliness and fun, but today we're going to do serious. I've probably been depressed since I had my son who is 5. I probably had some postpartum depression, just low grade, and I didn't notice it. I didn't name it as depression until recently when I really discovered that I had depression and how deep my depression had become. Because we repatriated from Singapore to America, I just thought that was part of the repatriation stuff. And so feeling down, I thought was just part of that. I didn't put it all together. That was probably postpartum depression. And then the move just kind of pushing me down. I think the main reason I wasn't able to discern that I had depression is because I've got a great life. I'm very happy in my life. I love my husband and my kids and homeschooling and everything about my life. I would have ups and downs, and it seemed like I was happy most of the time. Then I started realizing that there were so many things that were off. If one little thing happened in my life, like if one of my children, veered off course a little bit or said something that hurt my feelings, I would spiral. I would just spiral, and I couldn't get out of the spiral. I might dwell on that one little thing for weeks and not be able to get it out of my mind, which is not really who I am because I've never been a worrier. So for me to just constantly be thinking these thoughts over and over and not be able to get rid of them was a clue. The thoughts, any thought about anything, I would just dwell on over and over and over. Like if I didn't like something, one aspect of my life or conversation that was had, and I would just dwell on it over and over and over, and I couldn't get past it. I couldn't, put it in my lockbox and hide it. I couldn't get past it. It was constantly on my mind. I stopped finding joy, true joy, in the things that I normally love. For instance, I went 6 months without making a YouTube video, and this is something I truly love. It's a way to release. It's a hobby and a job, and it's something that I just love. Cooking. I don't love cooking, but I do enjoy cooking for my family. I enjoy organizing. I love organizing. Books. I none of these things were bringing me joy. None of these things felt good when I did them. And so, for instance, with the YouTube, I just stopped doing it. Pretty much, I stopped doing everything. I would find myself on my phone disassociating from reality and just totally immersed in absolutely nothing. I had no energy to do anything. So not only was I not finding joy in the things that I love, but I just didn't have the energy to do anything. I wasn't sleeping all day, but I didn't want to do anything. And I thought maybe hormones, I have thyroid disorder, I have chronic migraines. I've just got all the host of things wrong with someone my age of 47. But it wasn't any of that. It was the depression. And I just didn't know I was depressed. My binge eating was so out of control that I've gained like 70 pounds during this. That's a lot. I'm 5 feet tall and I'm over 200 pounds, and that's a lot for someone as short as I am with this tiny little petite frame that I have. The hardest part, and something that is extremely hard for me to talk about, but it is the thing that finally got me help, was I was having suicidal thoughts. Now again, I say I love my life. I have as close to perfect of a life as you can get. I've got amazing kids. I've got the world's best husband. I've got family and friends. I've got the best friends in the world. And yet I was having these thoughts in my mind that I didn't want to get my pain to stop. I've never been one to run away from my own pain. Of course, with the depression, everything was painful. But I didn't want to die to get away from my pain. I wanted to die because I thought everyone around me would be better off if I wasn't here. I started thinking about my husband, and I wasn't being a good wife, and how he would be happier with somebody else. And then I would think about my older girls and what a bad job I did raising them, and how I could never make it up to them, and how they would just be happier if I wasn't in their life. Then they could find, a mother figure that's better than me. And then I would go down through, I have 5 kids left at home, and I would go down through each one of them. This child would be okay. This child, oh, this is going to be fine. And then I would get down to my little 5-year-old. And he would always stop me every time because he would be destroyed. And that's what kept me going. And I might do that 20 times a day. It's not like I wanted to die, because I didn't. I didn't want to die. But I just felt like everyone would be better without me, except for my 5-year-old, and that's what kept me alive. That's literally what kept me alive. Then COVID hit, and I was going through perimenopause, and that's pretty common in women in perimenopause, is that we deal with depression and suicidal ideology at times. Then one day I was reading an article by Gabrielle Union where she was talking about her depression and suicidal ideation due to perimenopause. And suddenly it started clicking in my brain. This is what's wrong with me. This is what's wrong with me. And I'm not one to ask for help. I don't ask for help. And that's just a trauma response. But I sent that article to my husband, and immediately he sent back to me, do you feel this way? Do you feel suicidal? And I said, yes. And the world stopped for both of us. And he was just like, what are we going to do? You know, he didn't want to lose me. He didn't want to lose the mother of his children. I didn't want to be gone. So I immediately talked to my doctor and got on some prescription medication. I'm on sertraline, which I think is just a generic of Zoloft. And I started therapy. And I'm doing something called EMDR, which is fascinating. I'm doing a lot better. COVID caused so much anxiety in me that I actually had an anxiety rash. First of all, I've never even had anxiety in my entire life. I was pretty much homebound. I hated leaving the house. I hated going anywhere and doing anything for any reason. I would sit in a parking lot when I took my daughter to get her hair cut and sit in the van while she went in. And I would just be looking everywhere and just constant on high alert and locking my door and making sure the door was locked, and then just constantly, I couldn't concentrate to read a book because I was too anxious about someone breaking into my car, I guess. I don't know. And again, I'm not an anxious person. I don't usually lock the door when I'm sitting in the parking lot. I feel really safe in my home and, my home environment area sort of thing. It was hard. It was really hard to live that way. I don't like being anxious, but I also don't like being depressed. It was hard to come to terms with this being my diagnosis. I didn't want it to be. I felt some shame, especially for the anxiety, because I've never been an anxious person. I didn't want to tell anybody about the suicidal thoughts, and I didn't even tell my friends who love me for who I am and push me out of my comfort zone. There was some shame in it. There was some shame, like there's something wrong with me. Which is why I'm making this video, because there isn't anything wrong with me. There's something wrong with my brain chemistry due to perimenopause or other factors, COVID. And I'm okay. There's no reason for me to feel shame about this. Now, that's the bad part. The good part is I'm feeling 99% better. I will say that I have ups and downs. Every day is not perfect, which is surprising to me because I thought once I got better, I wouldn't have any more bad days, but I still have days where I just kind of drop down into the valley, and then the next day I might be better. It's like the color is back in my life. I can see all the things that make me happy. So here are some things I did to help me get through my depression to the other side, but it's still a journey. Still a journey. I'm not there yet. Like I said, the first thing I did was my medication and the therapy. I hate talking about myself. I didn't want to go to therapy because I've done therapy before. I've got 20 years of sobriety, and I did all the therapy when I got sober. I don't like talking about myself. I try not to turn the conversation on the other person when I'm having therapy, but I always do because it can deflect from me having to talk about myself. I've wasted a lot of therapy appointments doing that. But I didn't want to do that this time. I wanted to do the work to get through this. And so EMDR is this, you got to look it up, seriously. EMDR, it's voodoo. It's not only helping me get through the depression and the anxiety, but it's helping me to reformed synopsis in my brain that tell me all those terrible things about myself. That I'm a bad wife, that I'm a bad mom, that I'm a bad child, that nobody loves me, that I'm fat and ugly and stupid. All those voices in my head. The EMDR is reprogramming my brain. I wore leggings outside of the house for the very first time in my life. I'm wearing shirts without sleeves. Well, this one has a little bit of a sleeve, but I've worn sleeveless shirts. I'm wearing shirts that don't cover up my belly. I mean, my belly's covered, you know what I mean? But I'm talking about the big hanging part of my belly from having so many kids and gaining so much weight. It doesn't have to cover all of me up. I'm wearing shirts that are half a size too small, but that still look good. And I'm okay with it because I'm learning to love myself. And I've never loved myself. So having this depression was literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. Well, not the best. Pretty close to the top. I have a group of girlfriends, and we started getting together twice a week for an hour. We hired a personal trainer to come to my house, and we started exercising outside with my girlfriends, laughing, working our tails off. And it wasn't about, initially it was about losing weight, but as my brain got better, it stopped being about losing weight and more about hanging out with my friends and making my body strong, and it got so much stronger, and I'm so proud of myself. I haven't lost any weight, and I'm okay with that for the first time in my life. Being with my friends and out in the sunshine and the hour of workout, get those endorphins flowing, I think was one of the best, other than therapy and medication, one of the best things I did. Another thing I did was take a bath every day. Every day I would take a bath. And when I got out of the bathtub after I dried off, I would put on a robe. And then I would come sit in my recliner with the door closed, no kids allowed in. Actually, when I'm taking a bath, the majority of the time, the kids will give me a break. You know what I'm saying? They'll leave me alone while I'm in the bath. It's pretty much the only time. So they would think I was still in the bath, and I'd be sitting in here, maybe doing nothing, or reading, or playing a game, or anything. But I would take a full hour between bath and sitting in the chair. And there was something about putting the robe on and sitting in the chair that just made me feel luxurious. I just felt wonderful. Now I want all the robes, all the silky, fancy, fluffy robes. So I didn't necessarily wash my hair. I didn't necessarily change clothes. But I did take a bath and go sit in my chair and have time to myself. I don't want to call it me time because it has such a weird connotation to it. But it definitely was time to myself that I could work on my needs. Nobody else's needs at that time mattered. It was just me. What do I need right in this moment? Because I was checked out so much, I didn't spend a lot of time playing with my kids. So I would force myself to play a game that I liked and they liked because I knew that I would get enjoyment from that. It was effort to do it. But once I was in it, I could remember, oh yeah, this is why I had such a large family. I love doing these things with my family. Skincare is another one of my hobbies, and I had completely stopped doing it. I have this dry patch right here that I'm still dealing with from all the months of not doing skincare. I forced myself to come in here and polish my nails occasionally. Not every day, nothing like that, but I love when my nails are polished. Hadn't polished my nails in all that time, and I made myself polish my nails because it would normally bring me joy. So I just kind of had to force myself to do things that I know I love, because somewhere deep inside my brain would acknowledge that this is something I love. I think another thing that was super, super amazing and special to me that I would have never thought in my life was my dog. During COVID and the riots, when my anxiety was so high and I spent a lot of time crying, I don't cry in front of my kids. I'd go into other rooms and cry quietly. I would just hold her and cry, and she never left my side. She followed me everywhere. Firstly, I didn't even know dogs did that. But she brought me so much comfort that I can't even put it into words. That is something that is totally one-sided. She doesn't expect anything from me. I give her all the treats in the world, but she doesn't expect anything from me. And that was something, everyone in my life needs something from me except for this dog. And it really, really helped. Do not underestimate the value of our pets. She really got me through it. She really, really got me through it. Lastly, and most people probably can't do this, but gotta say it, take an occasional me day. Yes, that hour a day was very helpful to me to just get my mind settled and all the voices shut down in my head for just a little while. But occasionally, just a day to go maybe hang out with my daughters or go hang out with my friends. When my friends knew how down I was, they would come over and spend the entire day with me, make dinner, and then all have dinner. Our kids all play, and it brought me so much joy and encouragement. And I considered those me days. I wasn't cleaning, I wasn't cooking, everyone was playing and having fun, so I didn't even have to do that much parenting, and it was just refreshing. I'm on the other side of it now, and I'm finding joy in all my normal things, and I love life again. I still have my moments where I have doubt, where I don't trust myself, where I question my friends' love for me and my children and my husband. But now I'm more able to push those thoughts out of my mind. I can take them captive, as God's word said, where I was not able to at all before. And I still get anxiety, but one thing my therapist has taught me is to stop and feel the anxiety. It's okay to feel these feelings. I always want to push them down, but it's okay to feel them. Where am I feeling it? What's causing it? What can I do about that? And it's been a game changer. This is the hardest video I've ever made on my channel. I'm a very private person. I do not like talking about myself. When I'm in a crowded room, I'm not answering questions about myself or talking about myself. I am finding out every detail of your life. And that's just who I am. That's how I do it. I am a closed book. I have huge walls built up, and it takes a long time to learn even little things about me. I did this truly uncomfortable thing just to help. If I can help one person, if one person realizes they're depressed or they're suicidal, they can get help. To know that people care about them, the world is better with them in it. This is worth it. This is worth the anxiety that was caused prior to recording this video. Also, look, did this to my hair. Why? Because my therapy is working, because my medication is working, because I've always wanted to shave my head. It's a little long right now. I'm fixing to shave it all off. Bald. I'm just waiting to go to my in-laws' 50th wedding anniversary party. Then I'm shaving it all. And then when it starts to grow, I'll probably dye it pink. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for being here and listening to this. And please, please share this video. Share this video with anyone that it could help, and just share it because you may not know who it will help.